Welcome to Blue Ribbon Specialized Truck Services. If you've been on the channel for a while, you've basically known us from the podcast, the Blue Ribbon Podcast, where we operate a fleet of trucks leased to Landstar. But here, we're going to take you in behind the scenes, give you a weekly vlog of what we're doing here in the shop so that you can kind of keep up with that. We're going to do some teaching and training here and just let you come along with us as we work on these trucks each week. This truck is owned by an owner-operator, and it came in for a couple of issues. I'll show you what we're working with here. So this truck had a prime issue, meaning if you let it set overnight, it did not want to start. And that can be a couple of things. It can be, there's a check valve on the back of the head that can let fuel drain off at night, and it can also be an injector. So what we did was we got this regulator and we put air pressure. This is the fuel pump right here. We put air pressure in here and to see if it would leak off, and it did. So we found that we had 4 bad injectors. So what he's doing now is called the overhead valve adjustment. We're gonna do a whole video on just the overhead by itself. This is Kyle, by the way. So what he's doing here is setting all of the injectors, the intake valves and exhaust valves using a dial indicator and a feeler gauges, using feeler gauges. So he's going in and getting all this set. We did a full federal inspection on this truck also, and we found some issues back here. These are the pins that hold the fifth wheel plate. You can see it's not here. And she's a little sloppy. These are non-serviceable. You would think, this is a Holland fifth wheel, you would think that they would have bushings, but they don't. So that's completely junk. So yesterday, I got in here with the old fire axe and cut off all of the old hub bolts. So we're gonna pull this off here shortly, and I'm gonna clean all this up, put some rust inhibitor on there, and the new fifth wheel is supposed to be here today. This truck is getting ready for an end frame, which is where we're going to basically replace all the internal parts of the engine. So you can see here we've done all the disassembly. We have all of the cylinder liners out. They have left the chat. They're not here anymore. Here's the old pistons. So those are the old pistons. What we found when we got this thing apart, we had combustion gases in the coolant. And when we took these old liners out, they looked brand new. So we think that someone has recently done an end frame on this truck, but we think that it might have a cracked head because when we pulled it off, cylinders 5 and 6 were full of fluid. We took everything out, and so we now have all of our parts in stock, and hopefully here in about a week we will start putting this one together. We've got a new head, we've got new cylinder liners, pistons, rings, bearings. We'll be reusing all of our rocker assembly and jakes, and we'll be putting all this back together. I think, is that the oil pump? Maybe. There's a long series of videos on our TikTok channel about this truck. This truck was bought for $15,000. Sight unseen. We brought it in, and we just went through it. You know, we did shocks and kingpin bushings and airbags, and we replaced all of the rubber hoses and stuff in the cooling system. We did not know, unfortunately, about the engine, but we ran a couple of loads with it, and we're like, yeah, we're going to have to go a little deeper. So went ahead and pulled it off the road. So we'll be hopefully starting on this thing in about 2 weeks. We should be ready to get started. We've got another truck that I'll show you here in a minute that we've got a big long list of stuff to do, but it's got a driver waiting on it. So this one will be on the back burner for another couple weeks. We have 10 or 11 trucks all together with the ones that we have running. We have 7 running right now. This is 8. We have 2 more in the parking lot that need engines. So you'll get to go along with us in that adventure as well. So we're going to be doing a couple of end frames. And then you'll see our trucks come in occasionally. Somebody will show up and need some work, and we're going to try our best to document all of that, which we've got big plans to do one of these vlogs every week, so we'll see how that goes. This YouTube and thing's a little bit difficult. This right here is the next truck we're going to be working on. This one we call the Bride of Frankenstein. Okay, so this is the Bride of Frankenstein. This is a 2002 Freightliner Columbia. We picked this old girl up for $10,000 and done a bunch of work to it. And the reason we call it Bride of Frankenstein is we have put a few different parts and pieces into this truck. We had a truck that was wrecked, and it was an old Schneider glider, and it had a direct drive 10-speed and 264 rears. This truck was built 20 years ago with a 13-speed and 373 gears, which is not ideal for fuel mileage. And if y'all have been to the fuel pump lately, you'll know that fuel mileage is kind of a big deal. So we took that direct drive 10-speed and those 264 rears. I changed the axle housings and all. I jacked it up, pulled the axles out, slid the new axles in, bolted everything back in, put the direct drive 10-speed in it. And so far, the fuel mileage numbers have been good, not great, because the charge air cooler's leaking. So that's one of the jobs that we're going to do here, is put a charge air cooler in it. It has a very small coolant leak from the head gasket, and rather to wait for that to get worse, because it don't get better, we're going to go ahead and pull the head off, replace the head gasket. Got some other odds and ends, a couple little exhaust leaks, and a little list of things to go through, but we'll walk you through that with us as we go. But this is going to be a solid money-making truck. I got to talk to somebody and figure out why. Like, why? Anybody know why? I certainly don't. This is a truck we're getting ready to lease on. It's a 17 International. We're having to do some pretty significant suspension work for this one. We went to do the alignment. We found that this box right here was bent, and I'll show you the other piece when I get inside. So on this International, this type of suspension, this is called a torque box, and they're non-serviceable. This thing's about $2,000. And when we got the truck, you couldn't put your finger in between the shock bolt and the tire. And then you had, way too much room over here. The whole axle housing was shifted. We think somebody hit something with it, but, truck drivers wouldn't do that. But we've gone through, we put all new brakes and drums on it. We replaced this torque box. We're going to have to do these bushings down here, or these torque arms. We're going to replace these because there's some play and some wear in here and right there, which is going to make it difficult to hold in alignment. So we should be getting on this one in the next couple of weeks. There's only me and Kyle. Kyle's the full-time guy. I'm the fleet manager, so I'm not here available every day to help turn wrenches. Kind of is what it is, I guess. We're getting through them as fast as we can go. And then we got this beauty right here. This is a 1999 Freightliner Century. Needs a motor, just an in-frame. So we're going to get started on this one. Probably going to be a month before we get to it. But this truck is kind of special. It was a one-owner truck. The guy had bought it from Schneider when he was a company driver. Leased it on the Landstar and pretty much ran it until he passed away. And we bought it from the family 3 years ago. It's been a great truck. It's all set up. It doesn't need anything except the engine. It was consuming quite a bit of oil, so went ahead and just got ready to pull it apart. So for those that don't know, we're located here in Charleston, West Virginia. We work here at Cam's Service Center. They're a full service 24/7 shop with road service. We rent a bay from them for us, mainly to do our alignments. We're going to do some extensive videos on MD alignments. We're also going to show you a diesel force cleaning to clean the emission system out. We'll have videos on that. So the plan is to get as much content we can gather up and provide that to. Oh, hey, here's a fifth wheel. It's here, and we're going to have to fabricate. Yay! All right, so here I got the old plate off. So I'm going to come in and knock all this off, and put some rust inhibitor on that, get that all cleaned up. And then we're going to have to do some fabricating because the new fifth wheel doesn't have this, so we're going to have to find some angle and bolt that to the frame and then bolt the fifth wheel down to the angle. That's not going to be fun. What am I talking about? Well, I was going to go on a test drive, but they won't start without keys. I got keys now. Let's go drive this Peterbilt and see if the 13 speed's working like it's supposed to. All right. Ain't got no air pressure. Lord, it's hot in here. All right, let's see what's happening. I'm supposed to be looking for is when I get into the high side, is the 12-13 splitter working? Yep. I'll show you what it's supposed to look like. All right, so what's supposed to happen here when we get up into the high side, we're supposed to flip this switch here and it should shift. Yep, and it did. Okay, and it did. Oh, everything is shifting like it should. All right, so there's fifth gear. Hesitation to it, but it is working. All right, come on out of there, sister. I'm gonna need that whole road. Come on, come on. I need the whole road. Come on, let's go. I need to occupy the space you were occupying. We can get out of my way. There's fourth gear. There's fifth gear. There's fifth high. 6 low. 6 high. 7 low. 7 high. Alright, we're all good. Everything's working like it should. So if you ever come visit us here at Cam's, this will be a good shot of where we're at. You're going to see a big lot here over to the left. That's not our lot. We're not allowed to park there. Right there's the sign. Authorized parking only. So no Cam's customers in this front lot. We share this building up here with Thermo King, and they got all this property out front. You'll see Cam's here in a second. We're over on the left side of the building from the middle over. And I'm gonna call that a successful test drive. This old girl's ready to go. Mission accomplished. one thing I've never done, hauled cars, but it's an interesting experience. Don't have the whole trailer. All right, so here's what I think. I think we clamp it on, okay? And we set that on there and clamp it together, okay? Then I think we take our drill bit and we do like four and do two in the frame on each side so that we know everything is tight, and bolt those together. Then if we can take our drill bit through and just score it while it's tight, and then all down through, and that way it puts a score on it, it would be much easier to drill than taking it all apart. And then we can drill each one. Then we'll clean these with acetone. I'll get some self-etching primer and then some black like Rust-Oleum. And because these things will rust like crazy once that's on there. So we can clean all that up, paint all this, and then that will get all this to stop. And then what do you think? I should have stopped while I was out, because I've been out 3 times now and I still ain't. Well, to get damn paint. Sure would have been nice if we'd have known to order that crap when we ordered the 5th wheel. But, and then what do we need for an airline? Oh, it goes right here. So we'll have to adapt that airline that went to the old 5th wheel. What is that, 1/4? So we might just need to extend it and adapt it to that, and then bolt this sucker down. What I do? So I went and bought all new grade 8 bolts, washers, and steel lock nuts. So should be able to start making some stuff happen. All right, so we got the truck here that we put the injectors in. It's been set for a couple hours. Let's all hold our breath and cross our fingers and toes. I'll take it. All right, so I got 4 of the greatest tool ever made by man. And let's get these things clamped on here. Boy, we don't get no better than that. It's almost like I planned it that way. Trying to do that left-handed's an unfortunate decision. There we go. That's much better. Now, looks pretty damn good to me. Now we just got to go in and score all this and get all these holes marked. And drill, baby, drill. Lots of drilling. What is that? It's instructions. Yeah, we don't need this where we're going. Are you happy with it?
Exactly 6 inches from the outside of this angle to the inside of the frame. So is that.
All right, let's lock her down. So we've gone through and we've drilled pilot holes in all of these. Now he's drilling one in the frame. We'll get the 4 corners of the angle, go drill it on the press, put it back on, bolt it on, then we'll be able to take the 5th wheel off and pilot the rest of those holes, and then take the whole thing off, re-drill it all, then clean it, paint it, bolt it. next step. We got all of our holes for the fifth wheel drilled. We got 2 bolts in here. Now the fifth wheel's off, and that will make room for him to go in and get all of these pilots drilled. We'll take these back off, go back to the drill press, get all of those insides, then clean, paint, let all that set overnight, and then in the morning we'll bolt her back together. The steady hands of a former aircraft mechanic. So on this one, these are really hard to get to with the drill, so he's going in there and scribing and making marks on the metal.
It'll look just like this. See that one?
Yeah, just like that.
It'll look just like that, and then I can put a center hole when it's on the table.
Yeah,
a lot easier.
Because those 3 right there are very difficult to get to. All right, here we can see one we've already drilled. Here's the pilot holes, and here's the ones that he scribed. So he'll come in here and drill these and these up here. Then we'll go back to the drill press and drill them the rest of the way out. Here we go.
Hey everybody, it's the next morning. This truck sat all night. Before, if you tried to start it in the morning, it would not start at all. The fuel prime issue was so bad. So this is the final test in the saga of the fuel prime issue. It's fixed. We let everything dry overnight. Little trick, when you have a bunch of holes like this and you just drilled up a part, just in case anything shifted a little bit, make sure you start every bolt before you tighten any of them down. Just in case anything's a little bit off. Everyone's in, everyone in fine. I'm gonna do that one right quick. All right, everything's perfectly torqued down to manufacturer spec. Fifth wheel time. A little bit closer. Yeah, you can set that down. Can you shift it to the forward? More? No, the other way. All right, that's good. Drop it down. Hold on. There it is. Well, this concludes the fifth wheel saga. Brand new brackets, brand new fifth wheel. Fully installed, grade 8 bolts. Okay, now it's done. Works a little better when you hook up the air.
All right, we're back after the weekend, getting ready to start on the Bride of Frankenstein here. So Saturday, Kyle got the hood off, got the charger cooler out, and we're getting ready to start on fixing the head. We have a very small coolant leak back in here, right where the head meets the top of the block. Now, we just put a new compressor and power steering pump and fuel pump on this truck a couple of weeks ago. There was a serious leak here at the compressor, and the compressor was bad. And when you take this pump off, there's a little plastic gear that's always bad. So when you replace the compressor, you pretty much have to replace the power steering pump. Well, unfortunately, our friends at TA put the gear in backwards that drives all of this. There's a gear inside here, the bull gear. He put the gear in backwards, and so when this was pushed in and that gear was in there backwards and started the engine, it busted the pump, busted the ear off of it. You can see there that they didn't remove the old gasket when they put the new one on. So we're gonna have to take all that apart too and fix it again. Thanks, TA. All right, here is our new charge air cooler. We got a Duralite. We got like a 1,000,000-mile warranty on them. All right, there we go. Brand new Duralite charge air cooler. Okay, Kyle's here, and we are going to get started. So, in order to get this head off, you technically can leave the turbo on. We're going to take this shield off here. Well, that's floppy. We're going to take the heat shield off, get the turbo off to make it easier to lift the head up, so we can leave all these accessories, not mess with the air conditioner. Leave all these accessories on, then we'll be able to pull the head straight up. The exhaust manifold's got some cracks, so we're going to replace the manifold. As a part of this, we're going to replace the head gasket. Yeah, we're going to do new valve cover gasket, new oil pan gasket. We're going to do these cab mount bushings. We've got 2 of those. Because all of this stuff, you know, you can see here, like all of the radiator hoses and water lines and all that stuff we already did as a part of the rehab. So here we're just going in and fixing some leaks. Gonna have to address that power steering pump job from TA. We consulted our list. We got to change that marker light. We had a new windshield put in it last week. So there's nothing on here really keeping the truck from moving. It was just blowing out a lot of oil. So we're going to investigate that oil pan gasket, because this thing here was leaking so much oil that it could have made us believe that it was the oil pan. All right, now we got all the jakes and the valve train out of the way, and we got to get a couple of hoses off. I'm working on getting the turbo off. I got the heat shield off. Well, I broke the bolts, but it's off. I got my exhaust clamp loose, getting ready to take the 4 bolts out of the turbo. Take the turbo off, then we'll start taking the head bolts out, and we'll go get the forklift and pull the head off. Turbos are fun. All right, the turbo is off. So one thing you can do to check your turbo is grab a hold of this guy right here. Try to move him side to side. And that is a good turbo. Yeah, maybe not. Quite a bit of oil coming out of that turbo. Yeah. I think the seals are going out of that turbo. All right, so right here, we got to take this cover off and get to the cam gear.
It has a bolt that holds everything together. I already took out.
Then he's using the bar to turn the motor.
There's 3 bolts that go in. You have to line it up with these 3 bolts. Be very careful not to drop those. Use a magnetic socket or something. If you drop these down, you can't get them. You got to take the engine. You got to take the front cover off. So don't drop those bolts. Once you take those off, then we have this adapter you put in, and it holds. You bolt them on here. It screws into the gear, and it holds your timing.
Keeps everything in time which allows us to pull the camshaft out and then lift the head off. So the camshaft goes into the front cover and connects to that gear. So we have to remove the camshaft from the gear, and the gear's got to stay in there in order for the cam to come out and the head to come off.
So this is a tool that locks to the cam gear to hold the timing in place. This is actually backwards right now. This sits inside and it locks to it. I have it this way just so I could start the cam to move, because it's kind of hard to start it. Once you get it moved just a little bit, then I'm going to flip it around and lock it to the gear. All right, so that's moving. So the cam's broke free. Now I'm going to flip it around.
Never gonna see that again.
No, it's down there, but thank God it didn't go into the engine. All right, now it's locked right against the gear. Can't move anymore. All right, so we already got the bolt is loose in the front, and we have the cam gear attached to the adapter. So you gotta slide it back just a little bit, kind of out just like that, and then it's free. Table over there. Go down.
Tilt down.
Tilt down. All right, go up. Okay, now go toward. Hold on. Are we hooked on something there?
No. Tilt back a little bit.
All right, back up a little bit. Go up.
These go towards you.
All right, back up.
Up.
Go up. All right, go back and up. Up.
There they are.
Up more, and you're free. It's all yours.
And now the painstaking work begins. And here's a look at the head. It's our injectors, intake and exhaust valves. We're gonna put new manifolds on. It's a 3-piece manifold. Get all that cleaned up, ready to go back together. Yep, looks pretty. Looks like 2's got some vertical also. Yeah. Not as bad as 4.
Yeah, no.
All right, well, as you saw in the video there yesterday, number 4 is in really bad shape. So we got in contact with the owner of the truck, and we're going to order an engine kit, and we're going to go ahead and pull the cylinder kits, put new main bearings, new cylinder head. We'll reuse all of our rockers, camshaft, and all that. But you know, I mean, you get down this far, it just doesn't make any sense to put it back together when you know it's passing oil. We could see on the exhaust manifold that it was pushing oil out, and we weren't really sure where it was coming from. That can be caused by a boost leak, but that's usually on the charge side of the turbo. It'll pull oil and blow it into the intake. This was all on the exhaust side. So that number 4 cylinder, those are vertical scars in there where it's letting oil by. So she's going to get an in-frame. So that'll be all we have for you this week. We'll be back with you next Thursday with a new episode of everything that we're doing here. I bought tripods, so hopefully we'll start getting you some better footage. See y'all next time.